What's up YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be on this custom Blue Beetle figure that you have in front of me, or I have in front of me I should say. Now I do want to preface this and say that I did not make this custom, so anything you guys see on this figure, just keep in mind this is not something that I did. This was a custom that I actually found online, and I found it for a really good deal. And with that being said, I wanted to kind of show you guys about, the figure and, kind of talk about, this figure and how this was made and things like that. So like I previously mentioned, this was a custom that was purchased online. I purchased it from eBay. I do want to let you know that this base body is the Gamerverse Miles Morales figure. So it is a 6-inch scale. If you guys are familiar with it, then you'll definitely know how it scales, but I'll show you guys how it scales with some of the other figures. And in the back, you do see the two customs that I did in fact do. So with that being said, let's get into it. So the figure itself, these are the armor bits are all made from 3D parts. Now, I can't say for certain, but I want to say that these 3 parts were from hottestfuzzcustoms. If you guys aren't familiar, you can definitely look him up on Instagram or Google, and you'll find he does a lot of, and I'm just assuming that it's a guy, but what hottestfuzzcustoms does is they do a lot of 3D custom parts. Anything from Helldivers or like Halo. There's a wide variety of custom parts that you can purchase. So these armor bits were actually, parts that were added to the figure itself. Now, like I mentioned, I can't say for certain, but from what I have seen from hottestfuzzcustoms, these armor bits almost look absolutely identical. And, I'll kind of go into more or less how I kind of came to that conclusion later on. But with that being said, these are, 3D printed parts. These parts are pretty malleable, but you do want to be careful with it. So again, you do have that custom head. Now, I'm honestly not sure how this was done. Just because, again, I didn't make this myself, but maybe this was something that was just fitted onto the peg. Same thing with the neck parts. And then you do see the scarab on the back, which is really cool, as well as the gauntlets. And then the hand itself was just painted, as you guys can see. And then the shin, not the thigh guards, these are the 3D printed material. Again, you can see that little, differentiation in the design. Same thing with the, the chest. And then again, you do have the knee pads, the shin guards, and the toe caps as well. So again, like I said, this was not done by me. I did not paint anything. I did not do anything. In addition to that, he also did come with the 3D printed blaster. Right there, you get that subtle differences. And again, this is meant to just kind of pop into the arm. Of course, you're going to remove the hands and pop right in. Along with the Gamerverse open hands, you do get the fisted versions as well. And then you guys can see there's a little bit of red coming through, but nonetheless, this is a very cool custom. And honestly, I was looking for, a 3D printed, and I'm not even saying 3D printed, but I've been looking for a Blue Beetle, and, I've had the DC Icons one in the past, but the size of that figure just never really, it didn't really feel good. It didn't feel like the correct size compared to other figures. It was definitely undersized, so being able to have this one is definitely just a super nice touch, because I think that with the height of the figure itself and, the body proportions, this definitely fits Jaime Reyes. So kind of getting into my experience with the seller, I found this for a great deal. And, the seller was gracious enough to, be responsive and accept my offer. One thing that I will say is that when the item did come in, this part of the scarab did break. So what I had to do is I had to use Gorilla Glue to kind of glue this together. And, when I arrived, when the figure arrived, I was super happy. And then, I found out that the thing was broken, and I was like, I was really upset. And maybe I won't say upset, but I was, disappointed, just because, this was, definitely something that, you're not going to find out in the open. You know what I mean? So, I reached out to the seller and I let him know, hey, I understand these things happen. It ended up breaking. And the seller, he definitely apologized, and, he's more than gracious enough to, give me alternatives on what he's done in the past with his 3D kits. And he actually did, and this was something that I didn't even ask or expect, but he did give me a partial refund, which was definitely appreciated, to say the very least. He didn't have to do that, but that definitely goes to show, what a great experience I had with the seller himself. I'm not going to put his name out there just because, for safety and confidentiality, but, I will say that this experience definitely made up for it. And, being able, he was actually the one to tell me about the Gorilla Glue. I've never dealt with 3D printed parts, so I'm not very familiar. So he definitely gave me the tip, and I got to say, I put a bunch of Gorilla Glue just to make sure that it was sturdy enough, and so far this has definitely held up really well. So with that being said, I think that this is a definitely cool custom. There are some parts of this figure that will have the articulation hindered, because you see the neck. It is separated. It might be hard to see, but that still does limit some of the articulation. You do get a little bit of side to side and, up and down. But because of the material, I don't want to really stress it. And then because you see the shoulder pads here, it does limit the articulation going up. I could have removed it, and that was something that I thought about, but ultimately, it just went with the, aesthetic of the figure. So, of course, you're not really going to be able to go up as much, if at all. You're definitely going to get a very limited range, but you definitely can get back, and, you still get that butterfly movement. And then one thing that on the arm, because you do have the 3D printed gauntlets, it does kind of cut into the articulation. So you can maybe get a 45 degree, and then if you notice here on the gauntlet, it's cut a little bit differently, or I guess when it was attached, this one should have been kind of angled more towards the center, if that makes sense, right? You see the kind of curve. So again, the articulation on this arm isn't really, you're not really going to get much articulation. You do again get that 45 degree, but same kind of deal. But in the legs and abdomen, you still get all that nice articulation, which is definitely good. Nothing really is hindered. And then, same thing with the legs. I don't want to really mess around with it too much. But yeah, so all in all, it's really cool. Let me show you guys what the blaster looks like on him. All right, and that's how the blaster looks. So it's not going to be a complete snug fit. Again, it just kind of pops on, and because it is a 3D printed material, there's not going to be a locking kind of mechanism or anything like that. You're just going to have to kind of, fudge it, and that's going to be as good as it gets. But again, it is still a nice touch that, he did come with a weapon. And for size comparison, we'll show you guys what he looks like next to the G.I. Joe Classified Zartan and the Marvel Legends Vulcan. So as you guys can see, he is smaller than these two figures, which is right around the size of Jaime Reyes, which is definitely cool. All in all, I'm very happy about getting this figure, and kind of getting into how I know that this was a Hottest Fuzz custom. When I did mention about the original breakage, the seller did mention that he paid about $80 for, the complete set, which is around the price point of what Hottest Fuzz Customs would have charged for this set in general. So, again, not saying that this is 100% true, but due to deductive reasoning, I can infer that this would, in fact, be a Hottest Fuzz Customs 3D printed part. So again, being able to get this for a super, super low deal, and then getting that, refund again was definitely just the cherry on top. And again, I'm super grateful that, the seller was able to kind of, work with me and give me, empathize with my situation. You know what I mean? So with that being said, this is my third custom in the kind of DC universe, if you will. So let me know what you guys think, and if you guys are looking to get this kit, it does come pre-painted, so you will have to paint it yourself. But definitely check out Hottest Fuzz Customs on Instagram and look him up on Google, and you'll find his website on there where you can find a bunch of different 3D printed parts. And so with that being said, let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. Peace.